This is ESBR Boxing. Delighted as always to be joined by Elliot Grigg. We are reacting to the news that Josh Taylor will defend his WBO super lightweight title against Teofimo Lopez on June the 10th. Elliot Grigg, thank you very much for joining me. Good to react to this news with you. Just give me your general thoughts on this fight. Is this a fight that you're looking forward to?
Firstly, thank you very much for having me. Obviously, a joy to go through it with you as always. It is a fight I'm looking forward to be perfectly honest with you. Obviously, it's two names that are well known within boxing circles. Kind of, sub 20 fights in their career as well. So quite early in some ways for a fight of this magnitude, but they've both obviously been in big fights previously. I think we'll talk about obviously some bizarre themes, like what weight it'll be at, etc. Things of that nature to discuss. But fundamentally, it's a fight that I'm interested in and a fight that I definitely will watch. Surprising as well to us. I never really thought of this as ever being a fight, but here we are. So yeah.
Yeah, I think there's been some back and forth between the two on Twitter in the past. So there is a story there. There is an animosity there. Josh Taylor still undefeated on paper, 19-0. Are you okay with him not fighting Jack Catterall? Obviously, he was rumored to be, very strongly rumored to be fighting Jack Catterall in a rematch. For one reason or another, that fight's not happening. Jack Catterall is signed with Matchroom, is on an undercard next month. That fight could happen down the line. But are you okay with Josh Taylor going a separate route for the time being, but staying in the same weight division as Jack Catterall?
Doesn't sit fully right, but I think what does sit right is the kind of symmetry here. So what you, I mean, you're saying obviously that Lopez has got a record of 18-1. And so is Josh Taylor, despite what you're saying, 19-0, 18-1. They've both got the same record. And I feel I am kind of, to be honest with you, it makes more sense to me for Josh Taylor to do this than fight Jack Catterall again. I almost feel like we know what happened against Jack Catterall. He didn't look the best against Jack Catterall. Jack Catterall was not the name that Lopez is. This is a bigger fight for him. Say he goes over to the US, it's a new audience. For me, it's right for him to do this. It's a bigger fight for Jack Catterall to fight Josh Taylor again than it is for Josh Taylor to go and fight Jack Catterall again. But I think the issue, again, like you say, is the reasons that were given or suggested as to that performance was weight, whether he lost it too quickly or didn't lose it as professionally as he perhaps should have done. And then talk about him moving up in weight, but now not to move up in weight to essentially fight Lopez is a bit of a bizarre call. But equally, if the money's there, and like you say, you're off to the US, you can give your several fans a trip over to the US. Great, but I think it's a bigger fight for Taylor than it would be fighting Catterall, in my opinion.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts on Josh Taylor staying at super lightweight? He last fought in February 2022. Didn't look great on the scales. He's been making 140 for a very long time. He turned pro in 2015. Just how do you think he's going to look on those scales come fight night? It's obviously nearly 18 months between the Jack Catterall fight and this fight. Just general thoughts on how he's going to make that weight and how much of a change that's going to make in the fight.
Like you say, man, that's a long time out of the ring and obviously at those lower weights, a pound, 2 pounds, whatever it is significantly more, difficult in proportion to sort of lose or to boil down to. 32 years old as well now, which down there as well is also not a heavyweight. 32 years old either, and I thought he didn't look best against Jack Catterall, frankly, on the scales. Even on fight night, he didn't look very good. I'm not even talking about the fight. I'm talking about arriving at the arena. He still looked a bit like he still looked drawn, frankly, but looked terrible, obviously, at the weigh-in. But I suppose it depends, really. I suppose on that camp. I mean, obviously, if you lose weight rapidly in a sort of ill-advised way, it can obviously have that effect. Whereas if you kind of switch on a bit, he improves certain things, dedicates himself a bit more, or whatever the issue may be, takes a more of a systematic and scientific look at it, and then loses that weight in a healthier way, it could potentially look better down that weight than obviously did against Catterall. But that said, I still don't really see the future for Josh Taylor down now at super lightweight. Really, I think as well. Obviously, you've unified that division. Yeah, maybe you're hanging around here for some big money, but I think you should really be moving up. But also another issue, as you have pointed out correctly, is that February 2022 is a long time ago, and you're walking into a fight with Teofimo Lopez, who's obviously unified lightweight division, looked okay. Well, it was down, obviously, wasn't he, against Martin last time out. So he's got his own issues, frankly, to worry about. But he's been out more regular. What was it, December? That he was out. So yeah, I think Taylor's got issues. One with the time out of the ring, two the actual weight. But if the money's there, boil himself down. We saw what Eubank was prepared to do. I
Mm.
think this is a similar thing really. If the money's there, the audience is there. That's what will be happening.
Yeah, I think one thing about this fight is a strange one because both fighters on paper won their last fight, but both fighters were it was kind of very narrow victories, and both fighters actually got knocked down against non-punchers. Jack Catterall, not a big puncher, not the biggest puncher in the world, knocked Josh Taylor down. Sandor Martin, definitely not a big puncher, knocked Teofimo Lopez down early in that fight. So I think it's kind of both fighters are just quite maybe just could be quite fragile come fight night. Teofimo Lopez, I don't know if you remember, kind of didn't look full of confidence after that Sandor Martin fight. Was clearly kind of quite disappointed in himself. Um, Josh Josh Taylor, like we don't need to go into the Jack Catterall fight too much. Obviously, 99% of people believe that he lost that fight. He's come under criticism since then, and he's going to be ring rusty. It's a period of that's quite a long time out the ring as well. Who's the favourite here for you, Elliot? Not necessarily like a prediction. Josh Taylor's the champion here. More kind of the older fighter, the more experienced fighter at that weight. But if feel free to say this is a 50-50 fight if you don't think there is a favourite.
Mate, I'm not going to say that. I do think there is a favourite here, and for me, it's Josh Taylor. I think Josh Taylor wins this. I'm not even saying this from some sort of British bias, but I think he's got far too much for Teo Lopez. Frankly, if he turns up in shape, and as we've seen him fight, we've seen him obviously. A guy with an 18-1 record. I'll say it again, put an asterisk next to it, but who has also fought, guys like Prograis, Barancic. Like we saw what he did in the WBSS to unify the division at that age. Well, sorry, with that level of that number of fights behind him was remarkable. Teo Lopez, I don't know what to say about Teo Lopez really, because obviously the Comey victory was superb. Like, don't get me wrong, like second round KO. Magdaleno KO seventh round was great. The Lomachenko victory, I've still kind of baffles me what happened in that fight. Like, obviously, Loma's a great win, but Loma didn't get going. And then when he did get going, he looked a cut above, which is a weird one, then loses to Cambosos. So for me, I think there's more question marks around Lopez than there is Josh Taylor. And Josh Taylor, I mean, yeah, has answered more of those questions, frankly, previously. And also will come into this fight, will have slight physical advantages. Obviously, we're talking about the weight, but I'm talking like height and reach as well. But I just think technically, Josh Taylor just beats him, frankly, for me, and beats him convincingly.
Fair enough. We'll leave it there. Elliot Grigg, thank you for joining me. It's another fight to look forward to. It's going to be a packed early summer in the world of boxing, both boxing in the UK and Ireland and in the USA as well. But thank you for joining me, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching.